Hello YouTube, I'm the Foam Witch, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make Supergirl's new belt. So, let's do this. At the time of recording this video there was no trailer or film released, so I only had a few reference photos. However, this was enough to sketch out my own template, and this is available for free. The link is in the description of this video. If you were only here to get the free template, if you could still watch this video right the way to the end, that would really help my channel. Using my mannequin, I then extended the ends to give a full belt. The template only gives one half of the belt, so to get the full thing you're going to have to flip the template and trace round it again. This will save a lot of paper when printing. To finish the template, I then painstakingly went round and drew in all of the details. Once the template was complete, it was then time to make the belt out of foam, and for this I used 3mm high density foam from the incredible Tige Supplies. Starting with this piece for the middle section, so you just cut this off the template, flip it over to give the other side and extend the ends. And this is how it looks once that piece is cut out. Then drawing around the piece that is left to give the edges of the belt. Now you might have to extend this template depending on your size, because this was made on my mannequin, which was 29 inches around the waist. These then get stuck on either side of that middle section. Then moving on to layering up the details, cutting each section off the template as you go, starting with the lines at the top and the bottom of the middle. These two sections then had a line scored down the middle, which when heated up with the heat gun expands the foam to open up the line to give a nice detail. Then cutting out this piece, and remember to give one full section, cut that piece off the template, flip it and then join it in the middle. There needs to be a very small gap in between most of these pieces, so it should reflect on the template. However, if it doesn't, just trim it down. Then moving on to this piece, and on the reference photos this has kind of like a texture to it. It looked a little bit like leather. It might not be, but that's just what I'm calling it. To achieve this, the piece got heated up with a heat gun, and then a rolled up ball of tinfoil got pressed into it, which leaves the texture in the foam. And this is how it looked once the foam had cooled down and the texture remained on the surface. This then got stuck in this area of the middle section. Then it was time for the detail on the sides of the belt, and remember to cut out each of these pieces twice to give parts for the left and the right side. Starting with these pieces that go around the edge. Sticking them on like this, and remember if you've extended the edges of the belt you are also going to have to extend the edges of these pieces to match. Next, both this smaller piece and this long piece get cut out. No matter what I did when trying to add the bits of video where I cut those pieces out, it would completely mess up the video, so I just had to take that part out, sorry. Then, moving on to this smaller section. This piece also has that leather kind of texture, but because the piece was quite small, I textured the foam before cutting it out, just to make it easier. Then, sticking it on either side, next to that larger piece. This piece also needs that leather texture, cutting it out twice and then sticking it on next to that smaller piece. Again, extending the edges if you need to. This is the last piece of detail that needs cutting out. This also needs that leather texture. Then, sticking it in the gap on both sides of the belt. Like I said before, there is supposed to be a small gap between each of the pieces. Measure them before you stick them down because they might need trimming. Once all of those pieces had been stuck on, the build of the belt was complete and it was ready to start painting. Before painting, I took my Dremel and I sanded down all of the edges. I also used this really thin sanding attachment and I went round the edges on all of the small sections. Do you really need to do this? No, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. I just like to do this on every build because I just think sanding is the best thing you can do for foam projects. Once every edge had been sanded down, it was then ready for sealing and painting. Although I did almost forget, there are some detail lines on either side. I just burnt these in with my wood burning tool. To seal the foam before painting, I use my favourite sealer, which is black flexi paint from Tig's Supplies. Have I ever told you how awesome Tig's Supplies are? Yeah, I know I do it in every video, but I really need you to know how incredible they are for all your crafting supplies. To seal the foam, the flexi paint gets brushed on by hand, and I think I used 4 layers. Once the flexi paint had fully dried, the belt was then ready for painting. To paint the belt, I used Vallejo airbrush paint, obviously through my airbrush, in the shade of Polished Gold. Gold paint seems to be one of the colours that is quite tricky to paint, and to get full coverage it took about 5 or 6 layers. This is how it looked once all the gold paint was finished and fully dry. To give the belt some definition and stop the colour being so flat, I took some brown wash paint and I brushed it in all the lower areas in all of the gaps. This is how it looked once that wash had fully dried, and it just brings out the details a little bit more. To protect the paintwork and bring out that shine a little bit more, I then used this gloss flexi paint top coat, again from Tig's Supplies. This got sprayed on using my airbrush. You don't need to thin this down at all, it's perfect for using in an airbrush, and I sprayed it on in 2 thin coats. If you don't have an airbrush, you can brush all of these paints and sealers on by hand, that is no problem at all. I just really like spraying things through my airbrush. This is how it looked once the top coat was fully dry, and as you can see it gives it a nice gloss finish. You can also get this in matte though if you need it. I then added some Velcro to the back to make it wearable and adjustable. I think in the reference photos this attaches at the front, however as I made this adjustable and it might have a kind of gap at the back, it made more sense to put this on the back because any gap would then be hidden by the cape. And once all that had been added, the Supergirl belt was complete. If you are still watching this video, I want to give you a massive huge thank you. If you've enjoyed it, if you could give it a thumbs up, that would be awesome. If you enjoy crafting content like this and are not already subscribed to my channel, if you could do that now, that would be incredible. If you use this video and the free template to make your own belt, please tag me in any photos because I really love to see them. Huge thanks again for watching, and all I've got left to say is, I'll see you next time.